Chapter 80, The Border of Cardero Province, Battle of Lumen Nanshan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the earthen wall of the Lumen Nanshan fortress, Wei Lin was fully armed, standing under the military flag, holding his sword. Within the sight of all soldiers and officers, the busy soldiers looked in the direction of the military flag from time to time, feeling at ease. Attack! The giant Ratman Tucker roared, and the Ratmen soldiers behind him automatically retreated dozens of meters. The 10 Ratmen plague priests behind the giant Ratman picked up the plague war drum and began to beat it regularly. Affected by the drum sound, thousands of goblins and dog-headed men had bloodshot eyes, their limbs and bones were mutated, spikes grew, and their backs bulged. The stench swept the entire battlefield, and all the surrounding trees withered. After a while, the drum sound suddenly changed, and thousands of plague sources charged towards the Lumen Nanshan fortress. The plague source of the Ratman is only active for 3 hours. If you can hold on, you will win. Now, wrap the exposed skin and prepare for battle. Officers at all levels issued orders in an orderly manner, and the soldiers followed the orders one by one, taking out clean cloth strips from the gaps in the inner armor, wrapping their hands, feet, mouths and noses, leaving only their eyes outside. Archers, shoot! On the city wall, hundreds of archers first fired 3 rounds of volleys at the plague source, and then fired freely, shooting all the arrows in their hands in the shortest time. Hundreds of dog-headed plague sources running in the front were shot and killed, but it still did not slow down the speed of the plague source. Warriors, move forward and prepare to meet the enemy. The archers retreated, and the soldiers with knives and guns stepped forward, staring closely at the plague source that was approaching below. The sharp and piercing sound resounded throughout the fortress, constantly testing the soldiers' psychological endurance. Puff! The plague source bodies that climbed up the city wall were eliminated one by one, and the foul juice carrying the plague virus covered the entire earth wall, corroding the gravel mixed in it. As time went on, soldiers kept losing their hands and were torn into pieces by being pulled off the city wall. Wei Lin stood on the general platform, watching everything that happened on the city wall, with a blank expression on his face and some ripples in his heart. As the spiritual pillar of the army, he could not show any expression on the battlefield. Kill, the adults are watching us. There is still half an hour, these monsters will lose their activity, hold on. Soldiers were constantly scratched, but they were soon lifted down and took the diluted water of life to treat their injuries and remove the plague virus. The war was gradually coming to an end, and thousands of plague source bodies that could still move stopped moving instantly, lying softly on the ground, and quickly decayed into a pool of liquid. Although the plague source bodies had all lost their activity, the soldiers guarding the city still did not dare to relax at all, and the group of real monsters had not yet started the attack. Master, the war is over. The giant Ratman Tucker looked at the half-dragon next to him cautiously, and humbly reported to the Ratman wizard Tattersall. Withdraw the troops and wait to take over the fortress tomorrow. The Ratman wizard stopped meditating and ordered the giant Ratman. Yes, my master. In the puzzled eyes of the defense army, the monster army began to evacuate in an orderly manner. Master, why is this? Kyle asked with some confusion. Things are not that simple. Let all the soldiers have a good rest and take potions to avoid the spread of plague. Yes. After Kyle left, Wei Lin looked at the monster army that disappeared from his sight, his face a little solemn. With the presence of Ratmen, you must be careful of poisoning. This is a slang widely circulated among the nobles in this world. Afterwards, Wei Lin ordered that no groundwater should be drunk, which caused an uproar in the army for a while, and then was suppressed by officers at all levels. At night, in the monster camp, the rat wizard sat by the fire and warmly entertained 2 half-dragons. Tattersall, if you can't take this earthen fort tomorrow, you know the consequences. A half-dragon stared at the rat wizard and warned. I know, just go and accept the earthen fort tomorrow. The rat wizard smiled and said confidently. Humph, conspiracy, the rats are indeed a lowly and dirty race. Another half-dragon said with disdain. Yes. Faced with the ridicule of the half-dragon, the rat wizard could only respond humbly. Others have the support of the half-dragon patriarch and the legendary red dragon. while he is just a rat without background. If it weren't for the profession of wizard, he would have been thrown into the most intense battlefield as a cannon fodder army commander. Late at night, in the Lumen Nanshan castle, a large number of soldiers were thirsty and extremely dehydrated, and kept licking their lips, looking at the well guarded by the knights' attendants and the officers constantly patrolling the camp. Many soldiers gave up the idea of grabbing water. They were puzzled as to why the superiors gave such an order. The next morning, it started to drizzle, and the thirsty soldiers took off their helmets and pointed their mouths to the sky to enjoy the gift from heaven. Looking at the drizzle outside the window, Wei Lin licked his cracked lips and smiled. God was really helping him. Yesterday he was not sure whether the groundwater had been polluted, so he prohibited everyone from drinking groundwater. He knew something about the methods of the rat men, so he had to do this. After eating the dry black bread, the soldiers guarding the city were on high alert to prevent sudden attacks by monsters. Everyone hide behind the parapets, don't show your head, and wait for orders. Tucker, take people to take over the castle. I think those humans must have died. The rat wizard said confidently, don't destroy the human corpses. They are the resources for my promotion. Yes, Little Mouse understands. The giant Ratman Tucker led the Ratman army and swaggered towards the city wall. Sir, I seem to see the figure of a human just now. A Ratman soldier wiped his eyes and dared not to speak. What nonsense are you talking about? The giant Ratman Tucker slapped the Ratman soldier, hitting him and making him turn around on the spot, and then fell directly to the ground. The master said that these humans are dead, so they are dead. The other Ratman soldiers heard this and shut their mouths, not daring to say another word. When the group of Ratmen approached the earth wall for more than 200 meters, more than 500 archers stood up and shot arrows. Shoot! Looking at the sudden bows and arrows, the giant Ratman grabbed two Ratman soldiers on the spot as shields and ran to the back in a flash. The rest of the Ratmen soldiers followed suit and retreated. The monster left behind more than 600 Ratmen corpses and retreated in disgrace. Tattersall, this is what you said, take over the earthen fortress. A half-dragon asked in a deep voice, holding a sword. Impossible, they can't not replenish water after the war, they must have fallen into a trap. The rat wizard shook his head and said, window_tabula equals window_tabula_tabula.push, mode, thumbs, feed, 01, container, tabula below article feed, placement, below article feed, target_type, mix. Chapter 81 The Border of Cardero Province, Battle of Lumen Nanshan Part 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Today is the deadline. Another half-dragon stared at the rat wizard coldly and said without hesitation. The rat wizard suddenly felt a chill on his neck. He turned his head and looked at the half-dragon holding a knife, and was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. We will definitely win if we attack by force. Since the human army is alive and it is raining now, it means that the plan he has worked so hard to plan has failed. Tucker. Master, I am here. The giant rat man ran out of the rat group, knelt gorgeously at the feet of the rat wizard, and said flatteringly. Let all the troops go and capture this earthen fort. Yes, my master. The giant rat man got up quickly and ran to convey the order. Half an hour later, more than 2,000 rat soldiers stood in the front, followed by a joint army composed of more than a dozen monsters such as jackals, lizardmen and ogres. Compared to the rat soldiers trembling, the rest of the monster army seemed to be scattered and free. For them, it didn't matter whether they could capture the Lumen Nanshan Earth Fort today. Before they set out, their commander had told them that they would work without exerting any effort. The rat wizard looked at the monster army preparing to act, and was so angry that his teeth itched, but he had no way to do anything. Attack. More than 2,000 rat soldiers, under Tucker's command, raised their wooden shields with fear and approached the earth fort step by step. When the rat soldiers walked forward for hundreds of meters, the monster army behind them began to move, and the main point was obeying orders, but they would never risk their lives. With the strength of the rat soldiers, it was absolutely impossible to capture the earth fort. For this reason, the rat wizard could only spend a lot of money and shouted loudly, kill 10 human soldiers and reward a low-level magic crystal. Looking at the eyes cast at him by the surroundings, all of them were suspicious. The reward is here, counted in human heads. The rat wizard endured the severe pain in his heart, took out a beautiful bag from his space bracelet, opened it and poured it on the ground. Looking at the low-level magic crystal emitting an attractive luster, all the monsters became restless. Even the two half-dragons behind the rat wizard looked at each other, their eyes full of greed, wondering whether to take action or not. In the end, they restrained their inner desires and waited until the old thing failed to take down the castle before they took action. For a while, the monsters who were ready to lie down and fish in the water suddenly became lively and rushed towards the earthen fortress regardless of everything. On the way to the attack, many rat soldiers did not die at the hands of humans, but died at the hands of their allies. Damn bugs, blocking my way. A silver intermediate ogre swung a mace to clear a smooth road for himself, at the cost of only dozens of rat soldiers. Get out of the way, everyone. Looking at the soaring casualties, the giant Ratman Tucker hurriedly ordered the Ratman army to hide to the side. After a commotion, looking at the more than 300 Ratman soldiers who had been trampled into meat paste, the giant Ratman Tucker wanted to cry but had no tears. He could only gather his troops again and follow this group of monster armies. The magic crystal belongs to us lizardmen. The captain of the lizardmen looked around, looked at the many opponents, and ordered his subordinates. Captain, don't worry, I observed yesterday that this group of humans is very fragile. It is a hard bone to chew for the rat men, but it is a wealth delivered to our door. A lizard man licked his lips and said to the captain of the lizard man while crawling quickly. Boys, show your weapons and harvest the heads of humans. A 3-meter-tall jackal looked at the low earthen fort and barked loudly. Standing on the city wall, Wei Lin looked at the various monsters rushing towards him and felt unprecedented heaviness. There are no less than 200 silver-level monsters. Lord, please let me stand here for you. Kyle half knelt on the ground and asked Wei Lin. I said I would be with them, and I will not break my promise, even if I die here. Wei Lin helped Kyle up and took off his helmet and said. Lord, it's impossible to do this. We only have you, a silver-level monster, and the other side has countless silver-level monsters. As long as you leave now, these 6,000 soldiers will stay to resist, and you will definitely be able to leave safely. Kyle still advised without giving up. Wei Lin's face became expressionless, staring at Kyle and said, Do you want me to escape from the battlefield? I dare not. Let my subordinates fulfill their obligations on your behalf, which is also legally valid. Kyle looked directly into Wei Lin's eyes and said with a fearless attitude, when the two talked, many gaps had been smashed into the earthen wall, and a large number of monsters rushed into the earthen fort from the gaps and fought with the defense army. The centurion went upstream, holding an iron sword tightly, and faced an ogre. As expected, he was smashed away by the ogre's mace, his internal organs torn apart, and he died on the spot. The military flag still stood on the city wall, and no soldier retreated. Retreating means death, and moving forward is also death, so why not launch your final attack on the monster? Death may not be the end. Seeing the situation further deteriorate, Wei Lin drew his knight's sword and jumped down directly, beheading a gnoll who was slaughtering the defense army wantonly. Surround him and kill him. Dozens of gnolls watched their companions being killed, and they surrounded them and continued to attack. Facing 3 silver-level gnolls and more than a dozen bronze-level gnolls, it was difficult for Wei Lin to resist alone. A mistake in blocking, he was directly smashed out, knocking away several soldiers. This is the commander of the human army. If you take off his head, you can definitely exchange it for a lot of magic crystals from the rat wizard. The gnoll captain's eyes were full of greed. He picked up an iron sword casually and approached Wei Lin step by step. Suddenly, a token flew out of his body and floated in the air. Letter, cough cough, token, maybe there is a way to save it. Looking at this familiar token, Wei Lin recalled that when Anastasia gave it to him, she once said that this token could block the following 3 attacks of the legend. The gnoll captain looked at the floating token, and his inner desire drove him to reach out to grab the token. The ice and snow world descended, and all the monsters within the earth fort were frozen in an instant. At the foot of the mountain, the rat wizard and the 2 half-dragons watched the entire hill turn into a world of ice and snow, and tried their best to leave here quickly. A familiar voice sounded, and all the frozen monsters turned into ice crystals and scattered around. The token stayed in the air for a moment and slowly fell back into Weilin's hands. The surviving defense soldiers on the battlefield looked at the existence that seemed like a miracle, and sat on the ground, feeling full of the feeling of surviving a disaster. Far away from Lumen Nanshan, the rat wizard suddenly attacked the half-dragon and inserted a strange magic weapon into the back of the half-dragon. Dirty rat man. Seeing this, another half-dragon raised his knife and chopped it horizontally, directly cutting off the rat wizard's neck. The flying rat wizard's head stared at the half-dragon with a smile. Half an hour later, the unconscious half-dragon woke up, his eyes turned, staring at the rat wizard's body beside him, feeling that he had survived a disaster. Not long after, the two half-dragons carried the rat wizard's head back to report. Window_tabula equals window_tabula_tabula.push mode, thumbs, feed, 01, container, tabula below article feed, placement, below article feed, target_type, mix. Chapter 82 The War Ends. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the Lumen Nanshan Earth Fortress, Kyle helped Weilin up from a pile of corpses. Water, is there any water? Licking his chapped lips, Weilin felt a little confused and felt pain all over his body. Kyle subconsciously wanted to go to the well to get water, but suddenly stopped at the next moment. He pulled out the knife he carried with him, cut the artery, and put his hand close to Varen's mouth. Feeling the warm water source, Weilin subconsciously sucked it to relieve his body's hunger and thirst. After a few minutes, Varen slowly fell asleep. You guys come here. Kyle tore off the strip of cloth, bandaged the wound, and said to several night attendants not far away. Grown-ups. Several people dragged their tired bodies to Kyle and said respectfully. The Lord is asleep now. You guys can take the Lord back to his room. Yes. As Varen's adjutant, now that the Lord is unconscious, he needs to take on the responsibility of a temporary commander, count casualties, carry out aftermath work, and prevent the monster from coming back. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon the next day, Weilin slowly woke up from his bed. He felt extremely hungry and wanted to struggle to get up. Don't move, lie down first. The familiar voice made Weilin feel warm. He turned around and saw Flora sitting next to his bed. Auntie, why are you here? I'm rushing over here to collect the body for you. Flora reprimanded with a straight face. From his aunt's tone, Weilin heard her anger and explained in a low voice, the situation at that time, as the commander, I must fulfill my obligations. Okay, I know, let me handle the rest. This war is about to end. You should take good care of your injuries these days. I will find an opportunity to take you to meet our leader. Flora looked at Weilin's stubbornness. His appearance and tone of voice couldn't help but soften. Yes, Aunt. Kyle, who was standing outside the door, found the commander coming out and immediately beat his chest and saluted. Flora glanced at Kyle, and what he had done had already reached her ears. Protect Varen well. Sir, this is my mission. Kyle replied firmly. After Flora left, Kyle entered the room carrying freshly boiled water. After purification by the priest, the toxins contained in the groundwater have been removed and can be used normally. My lord. Kyle put down the kettle and stepped forward to help Varen up. The jackal's hammer almost smashed me into pieces. Varen sat on the bed and said with a smile to Kyle. Lord, this time you are famous. Everyone calls you the Son of Frost. Kyle handed a bowl of water to Varen and then reported respectfully. Ahem, cough, cough, what a shameful title. How about we order this and stop discussing this matter? Kyle said hurriedly when he saw this. Weilin waved his hand and said nonchalantly, forget it, let them go. What are the casualties this time? After resting for a while, Varen handed the bowl to Kyle and asked. There were a lot of casualties. Kyle put the bowl aside and replied with some disappointment. There were 6,431 people before the war, and there were only 2,786 people left after the war. We brought there were 200 soldiers and 20 knights and attendants. Now there are only 137 soldiers and 16 knights and attendants. It is impossible to avoid casualties in war. Varen patted Kyle on the shoulder and consoled him, cremate their bodies and take them home after the war is over. Yes. Half a month later, everything was peaceful in the Lumen Nanshan Earth Fortress, and no monsters appeared. The soldiers of the defense force were talking a lot. Some speculated that the frost storm was brought back to the monster army by the half-dragons. Some speculated that the southern battlefield was victorious and the monsters were about to retreat. At the border of Sirop, in the monster army camp, the half-dragons once again summoned the leaders of each legion for a meeting. At the entrance of the camp, 2 heads were hung high on wooden poles for the passing monster leaders to appreciate. If you look carefully, you can see one is the head of a rat wizard, and the other is the head of a half-dragon, the rat wizard, who completed the soul exchange at the cost of losing an extremely precious witchcraft, was beheaded on the spot when he returned to the camp to report to the half-dragon Neural. All the confidants of the half-dragon Neural knew that their leader had a peculiar ability to tell whether the soul and body matched at a glance. When he returned to the camp to report to Neural with a sense of luck, it was the time for the rat wizard to die. The monster leader who entered the tent looked at the gloomy face of the half-dragon Neural, and then looked back at the half-dragon head he just saw. He stood in his position, calmly like a good baby. After seeing that all the monster leaders had arrived, the half-dragon Neural stood up from his seat and announced solemnly, "You legends have orders to stop your troops immediately and begin to retreat, preparing to face human revenge." "Sir, why is this?" The jackal leader stood up immediately and asked in confusion. The other monster leaders looked at the half-dragon Neural, hoping to get answers. "Because the goddess of life defeated the god of famine in the outer starry sky, and the previous news that the goddess of life was seriously injured in the star realm is all false." "How so?" "Then what we did before is nothing." "That's right. If I had known earlier, I would have followed the previous 7-step trial policy and tried step by step. The losses could have been minimized. Why should I be so radical and overturn the previous plan? Damn the famine cult, it's all their instigation. Asshole, my clan suffered such a huge loss, but in the end I got nothing. Those old guys won't eat me. We gathered so many troops, but in the end it was all in vain, and we have to face human retaliation. Damn it, I was wondering why other clans were not active. It turns out that I am the clown." The whole tent was in chaos in an instant. The half-dragon Nuru's face became more and more gloomy, and he shouted loudly, "Shut up. Fuck you." The Minotaur leader was in a bad mood. Just when he was about to talk back, he was punched out of the tent by the half-dragon Nuru, smashing 3 wooden towers and injuring and killing many dog-headed people and goblin soldiers. For a moment, there was silence. "The Minotaur Corps will be the last, and the rest of the army will withdraw in turn." "Sir, what about the goblins and kobolds that were recruited?" The lizard-man leader stepped forward and asked cautiously. "As slaves, they will make up for your losses." "Thank you, sir." In the big tent, all the monster leaders bowed and saluted. Half a month later, the monster army withdrew across the board, and the battle ended with a tragic victory for the kingdom of Ilia. Hundreds of thousands of elite soldiers died in this offensive and defensive battle, which severely damaged the vitality of the 4 border provinces and caused considerable losses to the 3 western provinces. Chapter 83 Meeting with Madmonkey. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On December 8, more than half a month had passed since the monster army retreated. The defense forces of Cadlo province regrouped at Luyunpo 2 months ago, and the next step was the reward for merit that everyone was looking forward to. Compared to the 6,000 people who were ready to go to support the 3 provinces of Lunsa, East and Dani 2 months ago, there were less than 3,000 people who returned here. Almost all the people brought by the nobles were killed. The loss was not small, but it was worth it for these nobles. Wandering around the camp, Weilin found many young nobles with new faces. After asking around, he learned that they were the direct heirs of the nobles who died on the front line and came to participate in the reward for merit on their behalf. That would be the honor of their family. Weilin, here. Looking into the distance, he found that it was Moira waving to him. Sister Moira, long time no see. Weilin walked over with a smile and greeted Moira enthusiastically. It's been 2 months, and you've grown a lot. I've heard Flora talk about your deeds. You're worthy of being the offspring of Lord Angus, and you're just as good. After 2 months of not seeing each other, Moira has aged a lot, but she still maintains her active personality. Look at what you're saying, Moira. Flora pressed Moira's head from behind and said with gritted teeth. It hurts, let me go, Flora. After breaking free from Flora's hands, Moira hid aside, tidying up her hair, complaining non-stop. Aunt, good morning. Wei Lin greeted enthusiastically. Come with me, I'll take you to see my brother and the head of the group. Wait, I'll go too. Moira looked at the 2 people walking away and hurriedly followed them. After walking for more than 10 minutes, the 3 of them came to a remote tent. As soon as they arrived at the door of the tent, they heard a voice coming from inside. Kadeki, when will you marry my daughter? Wait a little longer, I'm only in my early 40s, I'm not ready yet, Tuan, father-in-law. Humph, still waiting, you almost died at the hands of the 2-headed ogre this time. If you wait any longer, I'm afraid Moira will be a widow. After listening to this explosive content, Wei Lin turned his head slightly and looked to the side, only to see Moira looking at him with a smile, slightly opened her mouth and said, the days of calling me sister won't last long. Then, the 3 entered the tent. At a glance, they saw 2 people sitting on the ground, drinking and talking happily, without any image at all. You are here, sit down. A young man with a face as sharp as a sculpture, with distinct features and sharp edges, greeted enthusiastically. Flora pulled Wei Lin to sit on the carpet, and Moira came to sit next to Kadeki Axe. This is the big man sitting next to him. The leader of the 16th Knights, Madmonkey, is not as domineering as before. Instead, he is like a neighbor uncle who makes people feel harmonious. Leader, this is Wei Lin. Wei Lin looked at Madmonkey a little stiffly. Just when he was about to greet him carefully, he saw the other party take the lead and said, Wei Lin, is your father, the commander of the Angus Legion? Okay. Hearing this, Wei Lin replied a little confusedly, fortunately, my father was in good health when I left. Flora saw Wei Lin's confusion and whispered in his ear, the leader's current achievements have a lot to do with your father. Next time you see your father, please tell him a message for me. 30 years ago, the captain of the flag guard, Madmonkey Colombo, said hello to him. Leader, I will definitely tell him. Wei Lin stood up and bowed. Sit down, no need to stand up, really a good guy. After a drink and a good chat, Wei Lin became more familiar with the 2 powerful figures of the 16th Knights. By the way, is your territory near here? Madmonkey put down his wine glass and asked suddenly. Yes, Captain, it's in the Yellowstone area not far from Luyenpo. Wei Lin answered naturally, without the previous restraint. Is your territory short of people now? Yes, very short. Wei Lin said without hesitation. I have collected a group of people here, about 30,000 people, all abandoned by pioneering knights. It's hard to deal with them now. How many can you accept? For the population, of course, the more the better, but Wei Lin has already known the impact of the famine sacrifice in advance. If he directly accepts these 30,000 people, Qixing Lake may not die on the spot. As for the sale of people, within the scope of this famine, I'm afraid they are all selling serfs and slaves. After some consideration, Wei Lin raised his head and said to Madmonkey, Captain, my territory is small and can only accommodate 10,000 people at most. 10,000 is fine. I will arrange for someone to send it to you later. Thank you, Captain. Afterwards, some other exchanges took place, and the meeting came to an end. In the next few days, the military merit reviewers sent by the capital began to verify the number of military merits, record the military merits for the nobles, and report them. In this military operation, Wei Lin served as the logistics guard of the knights and won 0.2 military merits, participated in the defense army to eliminate the monster clan and won 0.5 military merits, defended the earth fortress of Lumen, Nanshan and destroyed the intention of the small monster troops to go north, and won 1.3 military merits, a total of 2 military merits, and there is still 28 military merits to be promoted to Viscount, and there is still a long way to go. However, he is still a pioneer knight, and it will take more than 2 years before the Baron promotion review will start. There is still a long time, and the road to promotion to Viscount is still very long, and there is no rush at all. You must know that many barons have worked hard for decades and participated in many military operations organized by the kingdom. Their military exploits are not as many as those of Wei Lin. It's really hard to get military merit. Varen held the token in his hand and sighed to Kyle on the side. This time I almost lost my life to gain such a little bit. My lord, I believe that you will be promoted to Viscount within 10 years. I'll lend you some good words. Wei Lin smiled and said that it was unlikely that he would be promoted to Viscount in 10 years, but it might be possible in 20 years. Lord Wei Lin, my lord invites you to come for a little gathering. Adrian, tell cousin Brian that I will be there shortly. Yes. Afterwards, Wei Lin simply packed up and went to the meeting. In Brian's tent, Alcott and Edgar had already taken their seats, and they were both chatting happily. There is still a gap in merit before being promoted to Viscount this time, but it's not much different. I should be able to save enough for another war. Edgar explained to Alcott very excitedly, feeling like a spring breeze. Brother, I envy you. Alcott said with some melancholy, I'm still far behind. I still need to participate in at least 3 games. Ha ha ha, I'm just lucky. Whichever direction I'm responsible for has more monster clans. I win by quantity, and I gain 0.5 more battle merit in vain. Chapter 84, The Defense Army is disbanded, and the autumn harvest food reserves of Qixing Lake. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this time, the curtain was lifted, and Brian led Varen into the tent. Varen, come on, sit down quickly. This time you stole the show, and you are known as the Son of Frost. Alcott stood up and greeted him. The young eagle has begun to spread its wings, and the military achievements it has gained this time are almost catching up with mine. Edgar also stood up and praised Varen. Wei Lin said with some embarrassment, 2 cousins, don't mention that title, it's too embarrassing. Ha ha ha, come on, sit down quickly. The 4 of them sat down around the low wooden table, which was filled with all kinds of food and wine, waiting for them to enjoy. Come on, have a drink and celebrate that we all survived. Facing Brian's suggestion, the 4 of them raised their bowls and drank the bowl of wine. After chatting for a while, Alcott looked at Varen and said gratefully, Varen, all 3 of us have to thank you this time. Otherwise, your letter would have resulted in heavy bleeding, and might even have injured your muscles and bones. Wei Lin said modestly, Uncle, even if I didn't remind you to stock up on food, wouldn't there still be relief food from the kingdom? Wei Lin, you are still too young. Edgar shook his head and said, relief food also costs money. Does the kingdom need to pay for the food it provides to the West? Wei Lin asked with some confusion. Later, Alcott revealed the truth. Without money, the food might have disappeared along the way. Wei Lin looked at his cousin Brian in disbelief. He, who was always honest, was silent. The interests involved here are too great, so we'd better not discuss it. However, you did a big favor to the 3 of us this time. If you need anything, just say it. We will help you within our ability. Alcott changing the subject, he raised the bowl and said to Wei Lin. Wei Lin raised his bowl to touch the 3 of them, drank it all in one gulp, and said half-jokingly, 2 cousins, it's settled, you can't refuse in the future. Ha ha ha, if you have any difficulties in the future, feel free to come to us. Edgar patted Wei Lin on the shoulder and said dotingly. Wei Lin felt at ease and warm when getting along with such tribesmen. After the wine was gone, Wei Lin slowly returned to his tent and slept until dawn the next day. As soon as he got up, Kyle entered the tent with hot water and a towel, and respectfully said to Varen, My lord, please wash up. Kyle. Varen cleaned up briefly and said to Kyle, who was standing straight beside him. After you go back, do you want to stay with me or go down and lead the troops? This subordinate wants to stay with the lord. Kyle replied without hesitation. Wei Lin looked at Kyle seriously and asked again, you have to think clearly. If you are sent to lead troops abroad, you can gain greater glory, be known to more people, gain power in your hands, and promote your authority. Stay with me and have none of that. Lord, I am willing to follow and serve you until the end of my life. Kyle suddenly knelt down in front of Varen and said sonorously. Waylin looked at the young man in front of him who was born as a serf and looked at him with some confusion. If he was in his position, he would definitely choose the former. Get up, my back will be in your hands from now on. Yes, Lord. Kyle stood up and replied with a smile, as if he had received a great honor. 3 days later, the defense force was disbanded, and each noble went back to his home. On the way back, there was almost a dilapidated scene on both sides of the road. The rivers dried up and the land became parched. When I came here, there were still some developed territories that had survived the last monster attack, but now they no longer exist. 5 days later, Waylin returned to the Lake of Prayer for Stars. At this moment, although the scenery inside the Lake of Praying Stars is somewhat similar to the outside, it is very energetic and does not look dilapidated and withered. In addition, Waylin also discovered that there were a lot of extra people in the territory, which made him a little confused. Could it be that Madmonkey had sent 10,000 people here? At this time, Baird came up to him excitedly and saluted Waylin, respectfully. My lord, return to your loyal territory. Baird, did someone send the population? Waylin got off his horse and stepped forward to ask. When Baird heard this, he was a little confused, but he still answered truthfully. My lord, the extra population of the Lake of Praying Stars was brought back by my subordinates in exchange for grains. In addition, I also sold 5 million kilograms of grains to other nobles and returned them. Almost 50,000 gold coins. Wah, what? Waylin looked at Baird in astonishment. 10 minutes later, after Baird patiently explained, Varen felt a little dizzy. I thought I bought it as emergency food for disasters, but I didn't expect that the more than 3,000 square kilometers around the Lake of Prayer for Stars would not be affected by the famine sacrifices. So the batch of 22 million kilograms of food bought with all their own money, it became a large amount of hard currency. In addition, Waylin and several other nobles purchased grain on a large scale, which led to the disaster. Almost all the surrounding nobles were in a state of food shortage, and had to spend 3 times the previous price to purchase part of the grain, allowing him to unknowingly make a lot of money. Full. By the way, Lord, this year's autumn harvest, here are the accounts, please check them. Waylin took the bound account book and opened it to look at it. Within the scope of Bedel's control, there are 1 town and 3 villages, with a total of 6,500 people, 2,000 of whom were exchanged for food, and the other 1,000 are civilians who have migrated spontaneously in the past 3 months. There are 40,000 mu of land available for cultivation, of which 20,000 mu are tax fields, of which 10,000 mu are planted with yam, 6,000 mu are planted with vegetable roots, and 4,000 mu are planted with wheat, with a total harvest of 4 million caddies of yam, 1.2 million caddies of vegetable roots, 600,000 caddies of wheat, and a total harvest of 5.8 million caddies of grain. According to the military pay of 1 soldier for 2 mu of tax fields, 700 soldiers and officers were allocated a total of 300,000 caddies of yam and 150,000 caddies of vegetable roots. Excluding these, Baird has 17 million caddies of grain in his hands. This does not include the pioneering town in Orlando. According to a rough calculation, there should be about 2 million caddies. Thinking of this, Waylin breathed a sigh of relief and said to Baird, don't sell the remaining food. After a while, 10,000 people will move to Qixing Lake. You should think about how to receive them. Whether to continue to develop in the north or divert them to Orlando, it's up to you to decide. Don't worry, my lord, I will take care of it. The next day after returning to the territory, Waylin personally held a funeral for the fallen soldiers and buried them in the Sergeant Cemetery set up 3 kilometers away from Qixing town. In the following days, we still maintain efficient training, strive to break through the realm as soon as possible, and be promoted to the high-level silver level. Window, _Tabula equals window, _Tabula. Tabula dot push, mode, thumbs, feed, 01, container, tabula, below, article, thumbnail, 300x250. Placement, below article thumbnail, 300 by 250, target _type, mix. Chapter 85 Moira keeps an appointment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In late December, 10,000 sallow-looking serfs were escorted to Lake of Prayer for Stars. The escort officer was Moira, the logistics director of the 16th Knights, an acquaintance of Varen, and was accompanied by a rather wealthy middle-aged man. Wei Lin, I'm here to keep your appointment. Varen was not surprised when he saw Moira for the first time. This ardent fan of his father still couldn't forget the wooden toy he proposed, but he didn't expect it to come so soon. Sister Moira, welcome to your arrival. I wonder who this is. Wei Lin smiled and greeted Moira cordially. Lord Wei Lin, I am from the Nankal Chamber of Commerce in Qixing Province. You can call me Hook. I was invited by Miss Moira 2 months ago. I heard that you have a magic potion here. I would like to interrupt you. Please don't blame me. The rich middle-aged man bowed slightly and saluted, showing respect to Wei Lin. Welcome, Hook, but the magic potion is still there. Well, during the experimental stage, you need to stay at the Lake of Star Prayer for a few days. Wei Lin said calmly. The Lake of Praying Stars sounds like a beautiful and rich place. It will definitely make me want to leave. Hook kept smiling and replied with a hint of joy to ease this embarrassing scene. Later, Varen asked Baird to take over the population, arranged for the businessman Hook from Nankal Chamber of Commerce, and led Moira to his castle. In the castle reception room, Varen personally served tea to Moira. Sister Moira, is the Nankal Chamber of Commerce reliable? Moira took a sip of tea and said calmly, Nankal Chamber of Commerce is a chamber of commerce with a good reputation. It has a history of nearly 200 years and has cooperated with the kingdom's army and many nobles. Among them one of the founders is the first Count Andersi, you can rest assured. Kindness. After listening to the other party's explanation, Wei Lin did not completely let down his guard. Where is your potion now? If possible, you can experiment now. Moira put down the teacup and said to Varen. Don't worry, Sister Moira, the potion cultivation manor is still some distance away from here. As soon as Wei Lin finished speaking, he entered the study room next to him, took out an old wooden box, and placed it in front of Moira. This is what my father gave to me when I was a child. Moira opened the wooden box and looked at the ugly wooden knight inside, which had Angus's name engraved on it. She didn't dislike it at all. She picked it up happily and observed it carefully. Wei Lin sat aside and did not interrupt, but sat quietly. After an unknown amount of time, Moira put the wooden knight into the wooden box, then held it in her arms and said gratefully, Varen, thank you. Sister Moira, this is your reward, you don't need to thank me. Varen shook his head and said. My lord, the dinner is ready. Kyle's voice came from outside the door. Varen stood up and invited warmly, please. Kindness. Early the next morning, Varen, Moira, Kyle and several other guardian knights came to the training ground. Today, Moira was wearing a priest's attire, raised her staff, and said solemnly, with the witness of the goddess of life, the oath begins. Kyle pulled out his knight's long sword, and Varen also pulled out the dagger he carried with him, put it upright on his chest, and looked at Kyle seriously. I, Kyle, swear on my honor, witnessed by the goddess of life, I swear to do my best to fight for the person in front of me, to fulfill my duties, to abide by the spirit of chivalry, and where the sword is, it is mine. Direction. I, Varen, as the object of your oath, accept your allegiance and will never leave you. Please bear witness from the goddess of life. A ray of light enveloped the two of them, and an invisible bond held their fate together. The oath is complete, may the goddess protect you. Moira's solemn declaration ended the oath to protect the knights. The two put away their knight swords, and the atmosphere in the training became lively. Baird and others warmly welcomed Kyle, celebrating his true integration into their team and becoming the 15th guardian knight after them. Kyle, you are better than us. Baird patted Kyle on the shoulder, feeling very emotional. A year and a half ago, this young man was a serf, and now he can stand behind them. It is the gift of the Lord that I am able to reach today. Kyle said without forgetting his original intention, without any pride or complacency. In the afternoon, Varen took Moira and several knight attendants to the #1 potion planting estate at the junction of the Lake of Praying Stars and the Ice-Cold Zone. This magic potion planting manor is the largest of the 6 potion planting areas. It has 30 acres of land that can be planted. An average of 200 potion plants can be planted per acre, and a total of 6,000 potion plants can be planted. The entire manor covers an area of 100 acres, all reinforced with boulders, and the construction quality of the walls is stronger than the walls of his own castle. There are 50 serfs who grow the potion, and they are responsible for tending 30 acres of fields. At the same time, 30 apprentice-level warriors are stationed at Plantation Manor #1, led by Aiden, the only bronze low-level warrior in the territory, to guard this important location. My lord. Eden looked at the oncoming Varen, bowed and saluted, and said respectfully. Kyle dismounted, quickly came to Waylene's side, and held the red phosphorus horse. Sister Moira, please come in. Moira was very curious about the many changes in the surroundings, especially the ice and snow not far away, which was clearly different from the surrounding environment. Despite this, she still suppressed her doubts. Everyone has their own secrets. Moira knew very well that Waylene was willing to bring her here, which was a great trust. If she kept asking, she would be a little ignorant. Following Waylene, Moira entered the manor and looked at the fairyland inside. In the potion planting field, the light blue potion plant swayed gently in the breeze, echoing the surrounding environment with light snow, making people feel extremely peaceful and comfortable. Found on the internet. Sister Moira, these potion plants are mutated from blue radish, and have the effect of quickly stopping bleeding. Whether it is external or internal, it has a good effect. Waylene pointed to the light blue potion and explained to Moira. I still need to experiment, which may take some time before I can start carving magic circles and preparing potions. Moira nodded, took out a potion plant from the ground, and asked Waylene. What else do I need to prepare for the complete process? Well, here is a list. Moira took out a list from her pocket and handed it to Waylene. It will cost about 20,000 gold coins, maybe more. If you don't have enough money, I can. Sister Moira, you underestimate me too much. I don't lack money, but it takes some time to prepare these things. Don't worry, this period of time is just right for experimenting with the specific properties of the potion. Chapter 86 Ice Blue Potion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the following time, Varen prepared the materials needed for the potion workshop while paying attention to whether the businessman Hook from the Nankal Chamber of Commerce showed any other abnormal behavior. 3 days later, the first bottle of potion was prepared. Waylene held it in his hand, looked at the light blue liquid in the bottle, and shook it gently. Hook, the businessman of the Nankal Chamber of Commerce, stood aside, listening to Moira's explanation while staring at the potion in Varen's hand. Although the greed in his eyes was well hidden, Varen was still aware of it. The growth environment of this potion plant is extremely harsh. I named it ice blue grass. The potion in Waylene's hand is made from ice blue grass and is called ice blue potion. Moira stopped, took the ice blue potion from Varen, and explained to the two of them in detail. Ice blue potion has a very good hemostatic effect and can be used to heal any wound. The most important thing is that it has ice properties, and when used for treatment, it has a numbing feeling and can relieve pain, which is incomparable to diluted holy water of life. So, Hook, how much do you think this ice blue potion is worth? Waylene looked at Hook with a smile, looking forward to his answer. After some thought, Hook stared at the ice blue potion in Moira's hand and said, I am willing to pay 3 gold coins for this potion, and our merchant will come to pick up the goods. All the expenses on the journey will be borne by us. Bear. I'll think about it again. Waylene did not give an answer right away, and planned to hang Hook up until some time later. The next day, Varen stepped up surveillance of Hook to prevent him from passing on information to the outside world and causing an unpredictable crisis. Time passed quickly, and another year slowly turned over, arriving on January 1st, 9722 in the glorious calendar. 300 kilometers west of the Lake of Prayer for Stars, a legendary mage walking in the star world will stay for 10 days, taking your most precious treasures to trade with him, and you will get a lot of treasures. Waylene, who was overseeing the potion preparation workshop, was suddenly stunned when he heard the news. What's wrong? Is there something wrong? Moira looked at Wei Lin, who was standing there, and asked in confusion. No, I just thought of something. Varen smiled at Moira, and then said, go on. Moira was a little surprised, but did not ask further questions, and continued, to prepare ice blue grass from raw materials to finished potion, it needs to go through 12 processes. Each process needs to carve 4 to 5 magic circles, which requires a lot of magic. Materials, such as magic pearls, purple gold sand, black green wood, etc., will cost about 18,000 gold coins. Second, the energy supply method, either you recruit a few mages, or build an element pool, once and for all. Varen thought for a while and asked, Sister Moira, what are needed to build the element pool? According to the size of your workshop, you need 1 high-level magic crystal as the eye of the elemental array, 6 intermediate-level magic crystals as assistants, and 30 low-level magic crystals as fuel to communicate with the elemental world and form a miniature elemental pool for the entire potion workshop. Supplies energy to drive the magic circle. That's it. Listening to Moira's offer, Varen fell into deep thought. 1 high-level magic crystal is worth 80,000 gold coins, 6 mid-level magic crystals are worth 30,000 gold coins, and 30 low-level magic crystals are worth 12,000 gold coins. If he wanted to solve the energy supply problem of the potion workshop once and for all, he would need to spend the equivalent of 122,000 gold coins. According to Hook's previous valuation of the experimental product, the purchase price for a bottle of ice blue potion is 3 gold coins, and 1 ice blue grass can prepare 2 bottles of ice blue potion. The number 1 potion plantation can produce 6,000 ice blue grass plants per year. Together with the other 5 potion plantations, it can harvest 12,000 plants per year. Excluding accidental losses, it can also harvest 10,000 plants, which is equivalent to 10,000 bottles of ice blue potion, worth 60,000 gold coins. You can get your money back in 3 years at most, and make a profit in the 4th year. Wei Lin murmured to himself, and the more he recited this data, the more excited he became. Money, 60,000 gold coins a year, made his little heart unbearable. Wei Lin, if you are inclined to build an elemental pool, you can apply for a loan from the Nankal Chamber of Commerce, and I can be your guarantor. No, Sister Moira, I can get all these things. Wei Lin suppressed his inner excitement and said calmly, I'll trouble you next. What, you can actually take it out. Seeing Moira's shocked expression, Varen said calmly, Sister Moira, everyone has secrets, right? I took the liberty. As far as she knew, high-grade magic crystals had a price but no market. Apart from being circulated among the upper echelons of the kingdom, they almost never appeared in the hands of the lower nobles. Even though Wei Lin was the son of Angus, she didn't believe that he would give such aid to her son. As for the 80,000 gold coins for a high-grade magic crystal that is widely circulated in the market, it is just a unilateral price set by the kingdom. If it is actually exchanged for gold coins, it may be tripled. In other words, it was extremely offensive for her to ask. Seeing that the atmosphere had become awkward, Varen immediately changed the subject and said, Sister Moira, how long will it take you to complete the construction of the potion workshop? It will take about half a month. After all, it takes time to carve the magic circle. It doesn't take long and is acceptable. Sister Moira, if you want anything, I will ask Baird to deliver it to you as soon as possible. I have some things to deal with after that. If you need anything, just ask him. Kindness. Then, Wei Lin took Kyle out of the number 1 magic potion plantation and returned to the castle. After arriving at the castle, Wei Lin directly instructed Kyle, go and notify Baird to come over, and then prepare 10 days of dry food, and accompany me out in the afternoon. Master, do you need other people to follow? Kyle asked. No, there are only 2 of us. The fewer people who know about this, the better. I understand. Handing the red phosphorus horse to Kyle, Wei Lin entered the castle and came to the study. He took out the things that Moira needed from his private storehouse and put them in a wooden box. Knock knock. Come in. Outside the study, Baird heard Wei Lin's voice, pushed open the wooden door, came to Wei Lin, and bowed respectfully. My lord, you are looking for me. These are what Moira needs, you send them to her. Whatever she needs in the future, do everything possible to satisfy her. Also, notify Orlando and others to hold a 1-year summary meeting on January 15th. Finally, how is the cultivation of sweetgrass going? The juice yield is not good. Either find a druid to cultivate it, or give up. Okay, I'll make a decision after I'm done. Let's proceed according to the original plan. Yes. Baird picked up the wooden box and left the study. To be safe, he was going to deliver it personally. Chapter 87: A Strange Team of Minotaurs. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Baird left, Varen went to his private vault again and opened an exquisite treasure box, which contained 8 7-color flowers of life. Except for leaving one as a reward, Weylin took out all the other 7 7-color flowers of life and packed them in a small wooden box. Remind me that the most precious thing I have is this. I hope you won't let me down. Weylin carefully put away the wooden box, closed the door to the private vault, and walked straight out the door. At this moment, Kyle stood at the castle gate, waiting quietly. My lord. Let's go, time is tight, we have to travel all night. Yes. Then, the two of them rode red phosphorus horses and headed west without stopping. In the wilderness, the two of them kept running wildly without stopping at all. The straight-line distance was 300 kilometers, and it might actually take them nearly 1,000 kilometers, so there was no room for them to waste time. Along the way, Kyle followed his master silently. He didn't ask what he was doing, nor was he curious about where he was going. He just followed Weylin closely. Lord, there is light moving toward us. Weylin tightened the horse's rope and made the red phosphorus horse stop. He looked in the direction indicated by Kyle and saw many figures shaking. When he saw the target clearly, Varen discovered that it was actually a Tauren, and hurriedly said, Quick, go north. My lord, I can't move, the horse's legs are stuck in the soil. Hearing Kyle's panicked voice, Varen discovered that at some point, almost all 4 legs of the red phosphorus horse had sunk into the mud. Weylin made a prompt decision, pulled out the knight's sword on horseback, and touched the token on his chest. He might have to use this treasure again this time. Damn, bad luck today. Just when Weylin was facing a powerful enemy, a soft voice came. Don't be afraid, friends across the way, we have no hostility. Suddenly, a white-skinned Tauren appeared in front of Varen, and his jaw almost dropped. In his understanding, the skin of the Tauren is usually close to tan, and they mainly believe in the Tauren god and the giant bull god. According to the classification of beliefs, the Tauren who believe in the Minotaur god are relatively short in stature, most of them are only 2.5 meters tall. They like to prey on married women, regardless of race. Another belief is the god of the giant bull. He is tall and his adult body is 4 meters tall. In addition to his original pair of arms, when he crosses the silver level and grows into the gold level, he will also grow a pair of arms, so he is also called a 4-armed Tauren. This human friend, we are believers of Mtlnovel, the moon god. Please don't be afraid. The dozen or so Tauren that surrounded Weylin and the two of them all shed their tan Tauren appearance, revealing snow-white skin and a somewhat cute appearance. Their soft facial features made people feel good about them. You can call me Sarah, friend. I am Lady Suellen's priest. Among the snow-white Tauren, a Tauren only 2 meters tall spoke to Varen in a gentle common language. Pastor Sarah, why are you trying to stop me and my entourage? We are lost. We hope to get news from you. Of course, we will pay you. The snow-white Tauren priest said softly. May I ask, where are you from? Varen looked at the group of snow-white Tauren, obviously led by the priest Sarah. We came from Alp Island, following the oracle of Mtlnovel, and headed to the Misty Forest. Sarah briefly described her origins. Alp Island, I remember it was an island isolated in the north of the Synap subcontinent. Yes, friend. Varen got the general information and did not ask further questions. Then he pointed to the southwest and said to Sarah, this is the border of the Cardero province of the Kingdom of Ilia. If you want to go to the Misty Forest, you need to go southwest. Across the entire Grey Mansion's wasteland. Thank you. Tauren priest Sarah said gratefully, and then took out a stone full of moonlight and handed it to Varen. This is the Moon Stone, which is equivalent to an intermediate magic crystal. It is a reward for showing you the way. Varen did not refuse, took the Moon Stone, ran into his pocket, and kindly reminded, Pastor Sarah, if you go to the Misty Forest, I suggest you go south along the border of the kingdom, arrive at the Leia Forest, and then go west. Entering the Misty Forest along the Principality of Leacoats. Thank you for the reminder. Pastor Sarah thanked him again, and then released the magic that trapped the red phosphorus horse. Goodbye, Pastor Sarah. Varen and Kyle mounted their red phosphorus horses again and continued westward. Come back, my friend. 10 minutes after Waylin left, the snow-white Tauren Sarah once again activated her magic. Under the influence of the magic, more than a dozen Tauren turned into 2-meter-tall humans and walked along the south. After being hundreds of kilometers away from that group of Tauren, Kyle couldn't help but ask, Lord, what's going on with those Tauren? I don't know. It may be that a certain Tauren tribe converted to the moon god Mtlnovel. It is not unheard of for racial branches to convert to other gods. The most widely circulated incident on the West Napu subcontinent is the Black Orc Faith Rebellion, but among the human camp, this incident is called the Holy Shia Incident. In the year 6527 of the glorious calendar, more than 3,000 years ago, located in the south of the Holy Kingdom of the Third Dawn and east of the Death Desert, there lived a huge branch of the Orc race, the Black Asia Orcs. During their heyday, the Black Asian Orcs crossed the southern part of the Sinop subcontinent, almost blocking all communication between the East and West Sinops regions and the West Sinops region. 200 years later, a war to split the Black Asian Orcs broke out. The human camp of the Sinop subcontinent almost fully supported the Black Asian Orcs, which were in an advantageous position and directly turned into a disadvantage, and the power of the rebellious tribes rose steadily. The war lasted for 300 years. In the 7027th year of the glorious calendar, the Holy Kingdom of Xia Orcs was established, and their race name was changed to Xia Orcs. The gods they believed in were the god of Xia, who was a subordinate god of the god of Dawn. The northern territory of the Black Asian Orcs was occupied by humans, and the Holy Third Kingdom of Dawn annexed a part of it, and the remaining territory supported the establishment of the Principality of Libervi, the Kingdom of Belfaz and the Principality of Dawn. The human camp has a common faith area, and all the gods of the human camp can preach, but the price is that the power of the Black Asian Orcs must be curbed and weakened, in order to deal with the newly born Holy Xia Orc Kingdom and the human country. The remaining Black Asian Orcs united and gave birth to the Coles United Orc Kingdom. With the assistance of the Orc camp, they were able to gain a foothold and compete with the Holy Xia Orc Kingdom and the human country. After this incident, the Black Asian Orc god, who was originally a weak god, fell directly to a weak god. Let other gods marvel at the plan of the god of Dawn, and at the same time let the gods of other camps increase their vigilance against the god of Dawn, fearing that they would lose a large area of faith without knowing it, which would cause the god level to fall. After a journey of 20 hours, they finally arrived near the destination. Note, gods cannot act without reason in the world unless a living being offends them. Window_Tabula equals window_Tabula_Tabula.push mode, thumbs, feed, 01, container, Tabula below article feed, placement, below article feed, target_type, mix. Chapter 88, Transaction with the Star Realm Mage, Part 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After arriving near their destination, Varen and Kyle rested for a while, and then began to search for the businessman from other worlds. Lord, look, there is a mansion somewhere. Waylin turned around and saw a mansion that was incompatible with the local environment appearing in front of them. It should be right here. Approaching the mansion step by step, I found that there were many corpses of monsters around, which had become nutrients for strange plants. The situation is a bit tricky. Should we turn back now and give up this opportunity? That at a distance of more than 1,000 meters, Waylin roughly counted no fewer than 3,000 monster corpses, most of which were Tauren. 1/3 of the Tauren were silver or above. There was also a 5-meter-tall Tauren. Even the residual power of the corpse after death made Varen unable to breathe. Just when Wei Lin had the idea of giving up, the door of the mansion suddenly opened, and a creature with the appearance of an elf, 2 pairs of colorful wings behind it, and a body length of 1.5 meters appeared in front of the two of them. Its shape resembled that of a goblin. "You too, my master has been waiting for a long time. Please come with me." The fairy girl made a soft and waxy voice, which healed their tired bodies and minds. Unknowingly, Varen and Kyle followed the elf girl into the mansion. "This guest, welcome to your arrival. I am the astral businessman Alger Holmes. You can call me Gray. This is my new name in this world." A handsome middle-aged man, while stroking the elf girl's head, he explained to Varen with a smile. "Good morning, Your Excellency. My name is Varen Akers. I am an ordinary human noble. I am here to trade with you. This is my attendant Kyle." "I've met Your Excellency," Kyle said nervously. "You are not ordinary." The astral businessman Gray looked at Wei Lin up and down, and then said to the elf girl, "Anlia, go and make a cup of fruit tea. I want to treat Wei Lin well." "Okay, master." The elf girl reluctantly left Gray's hand and walked towards the room on the left. "Come, sit down." "Thank you." Varen thanked him again and sat down opposite Gray in a reserved manner, while Kyle stood behind Varen. "Your world is so big, and there are so many powerful people. I can't help but want to travel around." Seeing that the atmosphere was a little quiet, Gray took the initiative to stir up the topic and said to Varen. "Sir, I don't know whether you entered as a stowaway or by other means." Wei Lin asked cautiously. "Ha ha ha, don't be afraid, relax, you can treat me as a friend, I don't have that much airs. As for entering your world, of course I paid the ticket. It's just a bit painful, but being able to travel around your world will be of great benefit to my future path." Hearing the other party's answer, Wei Lin felt a little relieved. At least he didn't have to worry about being wiped out by the other party after the transaction was completed. "Your Excellency, why are there so many Tauren outside?" Seeing that the other party had a gentle temperament, Varen bravely said. "Humph." Gray was furious when he heard Wei Lin's question. "These stinking creatures with a head and a body of a bull actually want to steal my beloved Anlia. It's really shameful that their souls are not used to make lamp oil. It's cheaper for them." As a married woman, Wei Lin suddenly had this idea, but he quickly shook his head and let the idea fade away to avoid the association and causing the other party's displeasure. At this moment, the fairy girl and Leah came to the center of the living room with an exquisite tea tray, placed 4 cups of fruit tea with an alluring fragrance on the coffee table, and then came to Gray's side, sleeping quietly his right arm. Wei Lin carefully noticed that the elf girl's face was slightly red, and she had obviously heard the conversation just now. "By the way, I haven't introduced you yet." Gray patted his head and said, "Anlia, my soul mate, has been with me for 300 years and is the love of my life." With this introduction, Gray seemed to have opened up a conversation, and he kept talking about his story with the elf girl Anlia. As he listened, the elf girl's cheeks turned red and she buried herself deeply in Gray's arms. "The love between Miss Anlia and Your Excellency is eternal. Ha ha ha, I will accept your blessing." Gray enjoyed Wei Lin's blessing. "Come on, this fruit tea is from the tea tree cultivated by me. It translates to the pure life tea tree. I still prefer to call it tea tree, but the translated name is too rustic. Hurry and enjoy it. It will be of great benefit to your pure energy, or fighting spirit." "Thank you, Your Excellency." Wei Lin picked up a cup, first handed it to Kyle, and then took another cup for himself to drink, feeling his body warm. Unknowingly, the fighting spirit in Kyle's body continued to grow, directly breaking through the restrictions of low-level bronze and reaching high-level bronze in one step. Wei Lin even broke through to the intermediate level of silver. He could clearly feel that he was only one step away from the high level of silver. If he went back to practice for half a month, he would be able to break through again. "Your Excellency, I am very grateful. I really like being friends with you." Gray picked up the fruit tea and tasted it slowly, and said in a leisurely manner, "I have seen too many people, they are either greedy, hypocritical, or arrogant, and have inconsistent temperaments. But it is very rare to be as caring and grateful as you are to your subordinates. Maybe that's a normal phenomenon, but I don't like it very much. Your Majesty is joking." Seeing that the atmosphere was almost right, Wei Lin took down the small wooden box he carried with him, gently placed it on the coffee table, slowly opened it, and let Gray watch it. "Sir, this is the item I traded this time, the 7-color life flower, my most precious treasure, please taste it." Gray was not polite, and with a thought, a wizard's hand held a 7-color life flower and placed it in front of him. "Know everything." Gray silently recited the spell, and all the information about the 7-color life flower kept appearing in his mind, including its characteristics, functions, growth conditions, and how to cultivate it. All kinds of information were fully known by Gray in just 10 minutes. "Wei Lin, the 7-color life flower is of great value, but according to my previous habit, no matter how precious and rare the plant is, I only take one, but today I decided to make an exception for you. I will accept all 7-color life flowers, priced at 2,000 transaction points." Then, a small ball with a very sci-fi color appeared in front of Wei Lin, and a virtual panel appeared in front of Wei Lin, listing the information and pictures of many items. "This is something from a material technological world. I found it interesting, so I improved it a little and created a peculiar magic item. You can take your time to choose." Chapter 89, Transaction with the Star Realm Mage. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After hearing what the other party said, Wei Lin calmed down and carefully browsed the information above and the trading point marked behind the item: plant type, Yuanli vine, grade, silver grade, basic information. It can absorb the magic energy in the air and produce Yuanli crystals. 1 Yuanli crystal is equivalent to a low-level magic crystal. In a thin magic energy environment, 10 Yuanli crystals are produced in a year. Value: 10 trading points/plant. Disadvantages: cannot breed seeds, the upper limit of growth is 10 meters, and it will wither after 100 years. Wei Lin looked at the text in brackets at the back, which should be a rough explanation given by Gray based on the characteristics of his own world. Looking at the first item, Wei Lin was a little moved, but he continued to watch patiently, looking forward to better items. Below, weapon, glorious demon sword, level, gold, basic information, a treasure from a small plane, with a sword spirit. This sword spirit is unruly, and you can choose whether to erase the sword spirit's memory when purchasing this item. Value: 200 trading points. Disadvantage: wearing this sword may pollute the user's mind. Please choose carefully. Plant, hollow fruit tree, level, gold, basic information. Assists magicians in spiritual practice, and can produce 30 hollow fruits every 10 years. Value: 300 trading points/plant. Disadvantage: below gold, you can only take hollow fruits once every 3 years, otherwise you will become a spiritual puppet of the hollow fruit tree. Please be careful. Use with caution. Animal, black-skinned pork, level, bronze, basic information, tender meat, contains magic energy, useful for extraordinary cultivation. Value: 2 trading points/piece. Lifespan: 5 years. Disadvantages: 10 times in heat in a lifetime, violent temperament, regardless of race. Please strictly raise. Plant, glowing grapes. Level, silver, basic information, full and juicy, can improve physical fitness, can repair hidden injuries, can be transplanted and cultivated. Value: 150 trading points/plant. Disadvantages: harsh environment, thin magic energy environment, refuse results. Looking at the dazzling array of goods in front of him, Wei Lin was deeply entangled. He wanted this and that, but he only had 2,000 trading points, and this opportunity might be his only chance to meet Gray, so he couldn't help but think carefully, without hesitation. If each of the plant items above is used well, it will be the economic pillar of a territory or even a family. Velen, how about it? Do you have any items you like? Seeing that the other party had not made a choice, Gray asked. Sir, I'm sorry to waste your precious time. The treasures you have opened my eyes and made me feel lost and entangled. Ha ha ha, it's okay, my friend. Gray said nonchalantly, tell me about your situation and I'll provide you with some reference. After hearing this, Wei Lin said to Gray, Sir, I am a pioneer knight. I have been away from my family for almost 2 years. My territory is roughly more than 500 square kilometers, but I have no economic support and have encountered bottlenecks in development. In this way, I suggest you exchange for reproducible animals and plants, which can support your development and will not be robbed by other nobles. At this point, Gray raised his head and asked Wei Lin, "What force can protect you now?" "My family." Wei Lin answered without hesitation. "What level?" "The Earl family is comparable to some powerful marquis families." "What is your father's position in the family?" "The head of the family." "Are there any intrigues among the clan members?" "No." "Are your direct subordinates loyal?" "Under the witness of the gods, they have completed the oath of allegiance of the guardian knight." "Is that so?" After asking a series of questions, Gray began to choose suitable items for Wei Lin. 5 minutes later, the various items on the virtual light screen disappeared, leaving only 6 items. Golden apple tree, green ivy tree, red tea tree, luo nyo camel beast, black skin pig, glowing grape. Only 2 of the items above have been browsed by Wei Lin, and the information of the other 4 is unclear. Take a look at the information of these items first, and I will explain the reason to you later. Gray also saw Wei Lin's confusion and said in a gentle voice, "Thank you, sir." Then, Wei Lin concentrated on browsing the information of the other 4 items, trading items, trading items. After Wei Lin knew the information of the other 4 items, Gray continued, "You can exchange for 1 golden apple tree, but it requires a high magic environment and needs druids to take care of it all the time to relieve the mood of the plant. You may not be able to meet this requirement, so you can give it to your family in exchange for your attention and protection. Green vine trees can be exchanged for 4 trees. They can be used to weave inner armor to improve the defense against magic. Even against magic attacks at the soul level, this can reduce most of the power and is a life-saving thing. Red tea trees can be exchanged for 6 trees. You can pick tea leaves, crush them and mix them with flour to make pills to improve endurance on the battlefield. Or you can quickly restore physical strength and relieve physical injuries during training. Luonyo camel beast, a good livestock, can be exchanged for 6 heads, 1 male and 5 females. It only takes 3 years from a cub to an adult. It eats less and works more. It has many uses. It depends on how you use it. Black-skinned pigs are omnivorous livestock with a short growth cycle. They can be marketed in just 6 months. They are very useful for training troops and can quickly improve the strength of your army. 20 can be exchanged, 3 males and 17 females. Luminous grapes, the most important function is to repair hidden injuries, and 2 can be exchanged. While listening to Gray's introduction, Wei Lin silently calculated in his mind, a golden apple tree requires 800 trading points, 4 green vine trees require 320 trading points, 6 red tea trees require 300 trading points, 6 Luonyo camel beasts require 180 trading points, 20 black-skinned pigs require 40 trading points, and 2 luminous grapes require 300 trading points, a total of 1940 trading points, with 60 trading points left. Thank you, sir, your reasonable planning allows me to get twice the result with half the effort. An experienced strong man planned for himself, and Wei Lin felt that the god of luck was blessing him. Gray waved his hand and opened a space door, then patted the fairy girl on Leah's head and asked her to go to her half-plane to prepare the things needed for the transaction. Wei Lin glanced at the scene inside through the space door. It was like a fairyland, with many magical plants competing for beauty and powerful creatures living in harmony. After Leah entered the half-plane, Gray waved his hand to close the half-plane. Wei Lin, you still have 60 trading points left. What do you want to exchange for? Sir, please allow me to think for a few minutes. The development of the territory has been solved, and the remaining 60 trading points can be exchanged for what you like, but what do you like? He was a little confused about this question.